Today we're making a croque monsieur, the absolute iconic French lunchtime snack. Cheese, ham, bread, all together. So let's start. So first things first, we need to slice a bread. Doesn't really matter what bread you use. And we want to slice it relatively thick. So maybe about centimetre and a half thick. So we've got 2 sandwiches worth, 4 slices of bread. And what we're going to do is just lightly toast that. So you don't need to toast it fully so it's brown, just get a little bit of colour on it, just so it doesn't go soggy. I'm just going to pop it under the grill. It's a little bit big for my toaster. So next step is to get the milk on. So we want a small pan of milk on, not too much. Depends how many sandwiches you're making, really. So we're going to get that on the boil. So what we're going to do now while we're waiting for the milk is we're going to start the bechamel sauce. So that's the creamy layer that basically brings it all together. All we need for this is a knob of butter. And we're going to get that on a medium heat. So we're just going to melt this butter on the heat. So once that butter's melted, we're going to add the flour, and it's just plain flour, and that's going to make a roux. So you want to add as much flour as you have butter. So if you had a tablespoon of butter, you have a tablespoon of flour. So we're just going to add the flour until it comes into a nice roux, so almost a ball. So once we've got the roux and it's all together, we just need to cook it out. We want quite a white roux, so we don't need to cook it out for very long. It's just to get rid of that floury taste. So once the roux's cooked out, we're just going to add the milk, and now it's hot, just a little bit at a time. Keep incorporating it until we've got a good consistency. Just a little bit at a time. And you can start to see now the roux growing. So you want to keep your pan nice and hot, but we don't want to be boiling it at this stage. We're just incorporating it. And what we're aiming for is just a nice thick sauce, no lumps. So once we've got a good thick sauce consistency, you just want to season it. So plenty of black pepper and plenty of salt as well, because flour really sucks up the flavour. So I want to get that in there. So the sauce is done, the bread's toasted. So now really it's just an assembly job before we put it in the oven. So on the inside of the bread, we're just gonna butter a couple of slices on the inside. And at the same time, we're gonna just put a little touch of Dijon mustard on there as well. So all the slices have a little bit on, and you can put as much or as little as you want on. It's totally your taste. So now all we're going to do is just assemble it. Dead easy. We're going to start with the bases. Put some of that bechamel sauce on. There's a nice base. And then we put our ham. So the best ham you can get, some nice cured ham. And just layer that on there. Little sprinkling of the cheese. Not too much on the inside, because really the creaminess is coming from that bechamel. And just on the top, tiny bit of sauce. Get the top on. And on top of that, again, keep going with the layers. The sauce. And smooth that out a little bit, right to the edges. And then that lets the cheese be able to stick to the top. So good helping of the Gruyère cheese. We want a bit of salt and pepper on the top of that. And they're ready to go in the oven. So if you're making these in advance, you could just make these, put them in the fridge, and then when you're ready, bring them out and just stick them on a tray in the oven. So we're going to do them now. So on a baking tray, just going to take both of these, pop them in the oven. They'll only need 4 or 5 minutes. It's just to melt the cheese on top. The sauce is already warm, so it's just to warm it through and melt the cheese on top. So that's on about 160. So just while we're waiting for that, quick clean up and get ready to serve. So they're about ready now, or they should be. Great. So that's them done. All the cheese on top's melted. Lovely and hot. And that is that. We're just going to cut in half to present so you can see all the layers. Hot, melting. Croque Monsieur. It's as easy as that. Make sure you add loads and loads of seasoning into the bechamel sauce because it really, really does make a difference. Croque Monsieur, classic. There you go.